Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here with another review for you. This time talking episode 4 of season 2 of Legends of Tomorrow, Abominations. And this is a kind of an interesting episode. It's an episode that has some very dark stuff in it, and it also has some very light stuff. But ultimately, I would say it's kind of a reasonably solid episode. Sorry, my cat's getting something nearby. I just had to chase him off and trying to scratch up the curtains of me. I don't know what's wrong with him. But let's kind of get right into it. So, so here we see that for an American time travel show, Legends is kind of continuing to sort of tick off all the sort of go-to choices. We've done the Old West. Now we're doing the Civil War. And okay, the Civil War is an extremely interesting time in American history, and it's also one that people at least know the basics about. This is kind of why I don't think we'll keep seeing the legends show up and say the 30 Years' War anytime soon, because if you say that to most people here in this country, like maybe they've heard of it, but they wouldn't be able to tell you a damn thing about it. That's for sure. But nonetheless, it's still a very colorful time period, and this episode plays with that, and it works pretty well. Now, obviously, the biggest stuff in this episode is just sort of 21st century people having to deal with what's going on with the whole slavery thing, and the episode handles it. I really think about as well as you could expect, a TV show to handle something like this, given that there are also zombies and people with superpowers. I like how at first Martin tries to sort of like say, you know what, Jax, maybe you shouldn't go out there. And Martin's heart is in the right place, but Jax points out, it's like, look, man, I've been black all my life. I've been dealing with racism all my life. I'm a grown man. I can handle this. And I like how Jax will show some real maturity when he and Vixen come across that lady who's getting whipped. He's like, man, I hate this. I'd love nothing more to go and save this lady, but I've learned if you go around tinkering with history, bad things happen. And points to him for sticking to his guns on that. He's shown a lot more restraint and maturity than a lot of other people on the team, including at times Stein. But ultimately, it gets to be just too much for him, and he's like, you know what, screw it. We need to do what's right here. And I personally am always an enormous stickler for no, don't do anything to mess with history, no matter how much it might suck. But this is a fun show that plays fast and loose with history, and ultimately, if you have your hero walk away from people who are chained up and about to suffer God only knows what abuse at the hands of a sociopath, yeah, it would be doing the correct thing, but doing the right thing. But nonetheless, it was very cool to see Jefferson really step up and show that he's tough enough and smart enough to deal with these situations and come on top. Now, granted, Vixen stepped in and really kind of saved the day towards the end there. And I'm glad that she had something to do besides stand around out in the woods. She got into that party. She tricked that guy into showing her exactly where Jax would be, and then beat the living hell out of him, which he richly deserved. And it was definitely a nice touch to have her have that little moment to connect with the slave whose mother was from part of Africa where she was from. She was like, "Oh, hey, this lady's a warrior, whose job it is to protect the tribe that my mother came from. We can trust her." So it's like, oh, well, that just massively simplifies things. Cool. So that was a nice little moment for her. Not sure the escaped slaves would have gotten quite that warm a welcome at the Union camp, but we'll let that one slide. Let's see. And it was definitely very satisfying to watch the slave owner get eaten by zombies, which he totally deserved. Not sure if an oil lamp is going to have that much of a kick, but although if you think about it, an oil lamp is really just one step from a Molotov cocktail anyway, so we'll let that one slide. Nothing really great, huge to say about Nate this episode. Though it was pretty funny. The whole plan being him, turn yourself into steel, then set off a bunch of dynamite right next to you. That was pretty good. And just watching him completely flop trying to take charge of the situation and the whole Colonel Sanders thing. That was pretty fun. A little question, well, more than a little questionable that they would have just sort of so quickly accepted Sarah as somebody that they would listen to in 1863. And Ulysses S. Grant would question a woman having the rank of captain, but again, it's TV. They've only got an hour, and nonetheless, her having that little moment with him where he talks about the burdens of being a leader. That's nice. Also, they did obviously do at least some basic research on the Civil War, and this is stuff, if I remember correctly, that does ultimately lead up to the Battle of Vicksburg, which was an extremely important battle in the Civil War. I mean, Grant basically spells it out. If we win this battle, we control the Mississippi, and if you know anything about the American South, the Mississippi River is a big, big damn deal. Well, not just the American South; it's like the biggest river in the entire United States. Um, driven across that river more than once. But yeah, Battle of Vicksburg, very, very crucial battle in the Civil War. Let's see, what else? Honestly, the stuff on the ship, that was kind of meant to obviously be the counterbalance, the lighter, funnier side to what was going on with the slavery and the war and stuff. Um, and for the most part, it was just sort of fun, especially watching, a brainiac like Stein have this just massive, irrational fear of zombies. And there's also some funny stuff with, like, yeah, Ray misses the call because he was going to the bathroom. The problem here is if you stop and think about it, it's like, once again, why doesn't Gideon just pipe the message into the bathroom? Okay? I mean, I'm sure somebody could, if it was really that important, they could stand maybe having to listen to Ray pee for a moment. Never mind, it's just like, why don't Ray and Stein just, like, go and have Gideon show them an image of what's going on inside where Mick is, or hey, seal off this part of the ship, Gideon. Well, they did seal off that one room, but it's just like, seriously, you have this AI in the ship. Why don't you use it to help yourselves? I mean, I was complaining about this that last episode, and here again, it just seems even more blatant. It's like, why doesn't this ship sort of do a little bit more to help them, or why don't they use the ship a little bit more intelligently? It's kind of ridiculous. But it did ultimately lead to Mick giving Ray Snart's gun, and choosing him basically as his new partner. So the idea of where this could go, I mean, it's very interesting. I don't think Ray's going to run around and start calling himself Captain Cold. There was a heroic version of Leonard Snart who called himself Citizen Cold, but I don't think Mick would particularly care for that. And that would be kind of weird given that we know that Steele's comic book counterpart is Citizen Steel. So I guess we'll have to see. Let's see. Just trying to think if there's anything else that I needed to talk about. Oh yeah, did you guys notice that the infected time pirates, they didn't seem to ever find that guy? Seems like that probably should be important. And yeah, actually, I think that covers everything that I had to say about this episode. It did it like the juggling act between the serious stuff and the lighter stuff. That sort of thing is very tricky. I think this episode did it reasonably well. Maybe they pushed it a little too far over the top. But if you're going to get into such deep and dark stuff as slavery, you really are going to need something very light to sort of balance that out. So I can certainly understand what the show was going for. And all in all, it's maybe not. I mean, the stuff with Jax was extremely memorable. Otherwise, though, I think the rest of the episode was a little bit more run of the mill. Still, definitely probably some of the strongest stuff from Jax as a character on the series so far. So, good on the show for that. So, I'm going to call it here. As always, please comment, rate, subscribe. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Hoosier Jedi. And please also join me on Tumblr at Jedi Reviewer. Until next time, take care and have a good one.